I'm Alex Morash, and let's grip trans rights. Idaho bathroom ban lawsuit dismissed after trans student plaintiff dies by suicide. A legal challenge to Idaho's anti-trans school bathroom law has been dismissed after one of the transgender plaintiffs died by suicide this year. The lawsuit against Senate Bill 1100 were closed last week after Boise High School Sexuality and Gender Alliance and the state agreed to dismiss the cases. The decision came the same day another student involved in the lawsuit graduated. The student group first sued Idaho in 2023, arguing the law violated the 14th Amendment and Title IX by preventing transgender students from using bathrooms and locker rooms matching their gender identity. Under the law now fully in effect in Idaho's K-12 schools, districts must offer reasonable accommodations for students unwilling to use facilities tied to their sex assigned at birth. The Boise students requested access to single-user restrooms, but argued the requirements singled them out. One student identified in court documents as Jane Doe said in filings, quote, it is scary having to look around before to see if anyone will see me going into the single-user restroom, as I worry about people gossiping and speculating about me being transgender. I don't want people to know I am transgender without my consent, end quote. Jane Doe died by suicide in January. U.S. District Judge David Nee offered condolences to the student's family in a court filing. Idaho also enacted a broader bathroom restriction law this year, applying to public and private businesses. That measure is now facing a separate lawsuit from 6 transgender Idaho residents. Well, this is one of those stories that it really does tear at me in ways that other stories don't, because you have a student that has lost their life. And I've just heard over 20 years of my life doing LGBT activism, hearing from queer and specifically trans kids and their families talking about what they endure and the chances of suicide because of what's happened to them. And to see a state enact a law that is so clearly transphobic, and then the plaintiff can't be there because they've taken their own life. Never ever. It's just a glaring example of an injustice system. It tears at me, and it's also a reminder about why this is related. This is a pride story in some ways to me. I don't mean that in a fun way. I mean pride is a protest. Pride is about getting and putting this up and saying this and never again. That's what I see with all this. Thank you to the families and kids working on this in Idaho. God bless you. I don't know what to tell sometimes this stuff.
Yeah. Well, the key part of this story, I mean, I understand the lawsuit and I understand they dismissed it at the request of the family and all that. Fine. But the key underlying factor is that student is no longer with us.
Yeah.
That student is dead. That student technically took their own life, but they were killed. They were murdered by the state.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to Trans Day of Remembrance this November, that student's name needs to be read, even if it's John Doe or Jane Doe.
Yeah.
That's because they were murdered by the state. Suicide risks are unconscionable for our trans brothers and sisters of all ages, who, by the way, only live to an average age of about 34.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. So this story, I'm sorry, this story just makes me so angry. And I know I'm repeating myself, but
it should make you angry, and it should make us all angry. Jane Doe thought this world would be better without her. Who made her feel that way? Lawmakers. They put a freaking target on her back, basically.
Yeah. She said that she just wanted to go to school and people not have to know every private detail about her. It's not our right to know if she's trans or not. If she wants to use a woman's restroom, of course she should be using a woman's restroom. And being singled out like this is deplorable. I'm not a historian, but I heard this little story when I was a kid that, we used to try separate but equal, and we realized it's inherently unequal. And to see this today, it's just disturbing.
I would just like to perhaps end this on a positive note. Kudos to the plaintiff that graduated last week. You took a step forward. You made it through the first set of hurdles. Go to college. Do your thing. Be an accountant and be an activist. Be a journalist. Be an activist. But you have already started to make a difference. So thank you for staying with it. Thank you for graduating. Thank you for saying, I will be here. You won't shut me up. So thank you and congratulations.
There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.